Loud. Three, 2, 1. Oh, we're live.
Oh my God.
In
What
my
was I before?
dramatic lighting.
If I'm live now, what was I before?
Half-Life.
Yeah. I got some.
Facebook is nope. There it is. It's good. We're good.
According
We're good.
to Zoom. So exciting. So exciting. People tune in. They're like, are they on Facebook? Is this happening? What's going on? So what is going on?
Perfect. Hey man. Welcome to the Living NLP podcast.
No,
I'm Nicholas
welcome.
Rave.
You welcome. I'm Morgan Bennett.
In this show, we talk about NLP and hypnosis and how we live it. So how you living, man? You tell your story first.
Hence the name.
Yeah.
I've been doing good. I find that this is a great time to have the ability to live NLP because everything's so weird now. I mean, it's just like politics, society, politics and society, the society of politics. It's just everything's so like, everybody's taking things so seriously, and everybody's so doubling down on a box that they're in that they may not have even chosen to be in. And it feels really good to have the ability to not do that myself and to help people not do that. I'm doing
you need to be we need these kinds of tools more than ever to be able to navigate this world that we're rapidly evolving into. So
yeah, it's crazy. So sort of pull back from the extremes. And I think both of us are probably more extreme in many ways than most people, but we're not like we're kind of extreme in both ways, which kind of brings us in the middle. As opposed to being so far over
you're
here.
You're pre-teaching my fucking anecdote. That's
there you go. Sorry.
No, I'm teasing.
So I will say I am lucky to have gotten a referral from someone who he said, he didn't even really know what I do. He just knows that I'm good and we work together in personal training. And he's like, he knows that I do other stuff with the mind stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, he's got a friend who's very neurotic and it's been stopping him in his business and personal life and all this stuff. And he goes, you should talk to my guy. And like, if this guy says you should talk to my guy, you should talk to my guy. Like, that's just how he is. He's like, okay, so this guy calls, sell him on a nice deal.
Well, what's your package? Just, I think some of our listeners like hearing how the sausage is made. So like, what did you do?
It was 3 months, six grand, the usual.
Yeah. Good.
Which I didn't think I could ever do 7 years ago.
I don't think we should be shy about that.
No, I'm not at all. I'm proud of it. In fact, I'm raising my price. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
I'm definitely raising my price because
I'm about to do the same thing again.
And this, these kinds of people can afford it. It's worth it to some people. It's worth it to anybody.
Anyway, point being,
I sold a $6,000 thing to someone who put it on
I just thought you should own that.
And it was worth it. Well, thank you. I do own it and I'm honored by it. And proud of it in that way that I can own it.
Yeah, and then the point is deliver more than $6,000 worth of value. And
already have, yeah. Exactly. And then at that point, it's not expensive when it's worth it. So,
exactly.
I'm not going to go into any details of who or what, but
no, keep it anonymous.
Because I work, we work in the realm of the unconscious. We work in the realms of stories and metaphors and memories, and this is your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is the realm of all these things. And this person had no real experience of any of it. Very traditional therapy for more than a decade. And not that that's bad, whatever, but was the same. But none of it dealt with like emotions and memories.
Did it help them?
Identity? I don't know. I don't know.
Does he feel like it helped? Yeah.
I haven't wanted to get into his therapy or his therapist because I don't want them to feel like I have anything bad to say about them because I don't want them to try and undo what's already happened. So
fair enough.
we did some work, which, surprise, surprise, revolved around parts integration. This is like the first work, right? Right? Because none of it's going to stick. None of it's going to stick if there's a hole in the bucket.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like all of the stuff, all the therapy in the world isn't going to stick if there's something inside that goes, nope, nope, and fucking pulls everything out of the bucket while you're not looking. So that's where I always start. That's why it's always like, let's plug the bucket so that all the stuff that we can put in, plus all the stuff you already have and do as a successful person, can just, now you look at all what you have. When you plug the bucket, look at how much you've got in there. So plug the bucket. And in doing so, we went back to I had to say, think of a time that you had this resource that you wanted. Any happy-ish time before all the cloud came, before the just the ick of your story came. Think of a time before that. I don't have any good memories. I have no good memories. I'm like, okay, let's I know that's not true.
Yeah.
So
I believe you have no access to any good memories. Sure.
So we do a thing, and it like there's a little bit of something, and you feel a little something from something way back before the significant emotional event that sort of led him down this path. Oh wow, yeah.
So was there some specific trauma then?
There was a series of specific traumas at a specific time.
Got it.
Which I haven't dealt with. Went before.
Yeah.
Just tell me a time. Like, tell me something that, like a memory that you have that's good. Because I'm looking for gold. I'm looking to prove to him, who doesn't feel like he can have a good thought, that it is possible for him to have a good thought.
Right.
So he goes back to a place in time, and he starts to create. Oh yeah, there was this one time I remember. Like, okay, I want you to go there and be there and try to do a revivification of the memory, and just like, okay, you're there now. He's like, no, I can't, it's not working. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I have no, nothing. And so I'm like rolling up my sleeves. I'm like, all right, motherfucker. Cause I know, like, I'm right. You're wrong. So I know I'm going to get you there. I'm going to find a way to get there. And
that's like me with the finger vise. I'm like, one of us is going to break, and it's going to be you.
Right. And so I start going, all right, man, let's go. It's like, I'm going to prove to you you're wrong. And he goes, oh, wait, there's this one thing. And I go, dude, I don't want you to, don't tell me anything negative. He goes, no. It's actually, I just had a memory of something that I haven't thought about since 1982. I'm like, really? Tell me more. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, and I'm there and doing this and it's that. And these things are happening. And how do you feel? Oh, I feel these ways. I'm like, awesome, man. So now, is there something around you that you can see that that will remind you of this feeling and this moment? And then him and Ha. And I go, look really good. And he goes, oh, well, actually, there's a glint on the window where I am. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, yeah, and that's weird because in all of my memories, whether it's true or not, it's always raining. And I said, but? He goes, but the sun's out. And I was like, it is out, isn't it? And in my mind, I'm like,
yes.
Like, what? And the sun's out. Where did that sun come from? Where's that light shining from? How did it get there? You didn't know it was going to be there, did you? No, but it's there, isn't it? And it's like, and so just focus on the light. Feel the warmth of that light, the light that, like, and just that alone proved to him, that inner light proved to him that it is possible for him to experience something different in his mind. But his, like, I couldn't have written that. I couldn't have said, I want you to change the sun from sky from dark to light.
And even if you had, it wouldn't have resonated because it came from him.
So that to me was just the most beautiful, like, whoa, look what his unconscious mind said. Oh, is it time? Oh, cool. Watch this. Oh, here's a memory you forgot you had. And I was like, you didn't know that was going to come up, did you? No, you hadn't thought of it in years, had you? No, where'd that come from? I don't know. Just like where that sunlight came from. You don't know where it came from. Did you do that? No. How did it happen? I don't know, but somehow, some part of you did. Yes. And it was just so like, I've been thinking about it for weeks since it happened. Just being like, wow, because that is a convincer and a half. Especially for someone who's super logical, super literal, to just have your own mind go,
yes,
this is it, and this is different, and look how it feels. And then it's just a matter of practicing that and going back, and then let that be a metaphor for every other metaphor that we're going to change. And there's not going to be all sunny things, and some things are going to be rainy. You always got to pre-frame that, because especially with perfectionists, it's like, well, if it was no, I saw rain, that's therefore it's done. But it was one of the most beautiful things I've seen an unconscious mind do, is to differentiate between, and also one of the scariest things I've heard about an unconscious mind doing, which is kind of like in Inception, where like all your memories are now dark and stormy and in Gotham, and it's
dude, I had this thought just recently about the power of the unconscious and like remembering this. Like, think back. I have a couple of young boys in my house, and both of them on occasion are afraid of the dark. And it made me think back to when I was a kid, walking around on the fucking Christmas tree farm with no lights outside, pitch black, and the way your mind can fuck with you at that age, because you haven't tamed this thing yet. You haven't learned how, and it's like the most terror that you can imagine, the H.P. Lovecraft beyond imagination, the thing that lies in the dark. When people are like, well, how powerful is the unconscious? All of that is your unconscious gone haywire, but it can work that well in a positive direction. That's a downward spiral. There is an upward spiral, which what you're doing with him, so often when you work with somebody, the first thing you have to do is set up is deal with that part that's constantly, you called it poking holes in the bucket. Like we are trained, so many of us are trained to look for all the reasons things aren't working. And it will sabotage you faster than anything else when you start making progress and all you're pointing out is every reason it isn't working, even if it might be.
I have to call him on that too, because him and the person who referred me, they're very negative. Everything's in the negative. They're very successful businessmen and everything. Like, fuck that. Nope, it's not gonna work. So just getting him to see the light and to
beautiful
know
metaphor.
that the light came on its own. Yeah. Just after an hour of talking to me and me going, nope, hey, I know you're in there. I know you're in there. Just show yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, poof,
give me a sign.
The memory, the light, and then
you can hear me in spite of this guy.
And I'm totally like, where do you like to go? Go to fucking Maui, dude. Like, and it's like, shut up, just go. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you. Yeah. You can show him, prove him something, give him something. And that was the most one of the most amazing things of the 7 years I've been doing this. That I was like, wow. That is beautiful. That is truly like magical, beautiful, meaningful, in the right direction. Yes. Of like, wow. So
that realization that comes for everyone at some point when you do this work, that your unconscious is never not talking to you. That even the thought, my unconscious is not talking to me, is your unconscious talking to you. Right. So like when he has that moment of going, this memory that I haven't thought of since 1982.
Or it's you talking to your unconscious, which isn't talking because you're too busy telling it not to talk. Either way, it's still there.
Yeah. Dude, awesome. So I had a question for you on your process. So when you say like you do a parts integration first thing with a lot of these people, in your mind, what parts are you integrating? Like like the fundamental parts integration.
This person was so my niche, which I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. So my niche of, is there a voice in your head that won't shut the fuck up? Right?
Yeah.
I sent him the top performer syndrome thing with the top 10 symptoms, which he didn't read before, but he's read since. And he's like, while I was reading this, I was like, how did you write this? Every one of these things is about me. Like like this
is like, man.
This is like you wrote. I was reading this going, how did you send me this before we met? And then before we talked, and like I was like, because it's you're not alone, you're not a weirdo, you're not a freak. This is what happens when really smart people.
It's a good niche. I love it.
In a place. And and I mean, helping successful people, helping wealthy people be healthy people is nice. So usually people like that there's a voice in their head that tells them horrible things about themselves because of they were motivated by dirty fuel, or pain that just got dirty. Because you can use nitrous to go fast, but if you only use nitrous, that's not to say only using nitrous is bad, but in your engine, if you're only motivated by anger and fear, then when there's no one around to make you angry and fearful, you're gonna here's plenty of room to make anger and fear. At which point your engine runs horribly and
leaded gasoline is another metaphor I've used, that it's like, it's running a car, but it has some very serious side effects.
Right. So usually it's the part that is cutting them down.
Yeah.
And the part that wants to grow. The part that brought them here to me, and the part that has kept them from doing other things.
Got it.
And usually, whatever it is, it's the part that says you're not worthy, you're not good enough. The thing that's not going to let anything else sit because you're not worth having anything. Whether it's health, where you're going to lose weight, well, you're not worth being healthy. Okay, well, right. Then you could.
So it's a worthy thing, like specifically, because I do that same one. That's my first parts integration.
It's worthy, like
not good enough, not worthy. You don't deserve it.
It's that you should be perfect there because you're not good enough, because you should be perfect is where a lot of it comes.
Yeah. And then for me, I go further with, so, and when you're not perfect, what do you not get to feel? Pleasure. You don't get to feel good because it's not good enough.
Yeah. He hasn't felt like that's why it was he hasn't had a decent memory. And if he did have a memory of something that was good, his unconscious mind said, nope, it's fucking raining and cold, and you don't even get to enjoy this memory.
Yeah.
And to begin to teach somebody that you can do that, and then to retrain, because it's a long road ahead. Yeah. But as long as you get this stuff, and like once you have that, you're so much part. Like I told him, look, man, because in the week after that, I saw him recently, but in the week after that, it went back, and I spoke my piece, and people at work were mad at me, and then my wife, she drove me back to where I was, and it's all this cause, right? I'm an effect, and so a big part of it was teaching. There's so much education that goes on to teach an inner child how to be an adult. Yeah, how to actually, you gotta take responsibility for this. But the good news is, I say this all the time, the doors of hell are locked on the inside, and you've unlocked the door. So you can crawl back in. And I also say, you could shit your pants at any point in time. You're welcome to. You're free to do it. But you don't. You used to.
That's awesome.
You did it for like a year. You just shit your pants, but you don't do it anymore. You could, but you don't. And it's
that's fabulous. That's such
you
a
could
good.
Go back to that, but. I mean, because again, I'm not stopping you. I'm only offering you choices. I'm not telling you can't shit your pants. I'm saying maybe don't.
Well, and the emphasis is on you usually don't. Like this is what an installed habit looks like. Like you don't want to go back,
and you don't think about it.
You're not obsessed about don't shit my pants. Don't shit my pants.
But it's just something you're past that, which to me is when you open the lock of the door that you've been trapped in for 2 decades or 3 decades. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, this is, but some part of them is afraid to come out. Some part of them doesn't know.
So what we do is emotional potty training. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I will say
that's exactly what we do for people.
And the first thing you have to do is pull your head out of your ass. You can't. Yeah. So.
And perfect. And I'm done. So that was a bow. All right. Well done, man.
Yeah, I was super stoked.
Congratulations on the client.
It makes me so stoked to do what I do.
Yeah.
And just it's awesome. So please do more. Let's do more.
Well, yeah. I've been having some great experiences. I had two different people text me this last week and were just like, your coaching is on fire, man. Like I've melted a few people that I've been working on for a while and finally got through some edges.
Yeah.
So I had some personal stuff come up, but I decided I'm going to do that in its own video rather than talk about that whole story here. So I want to talk about kind of a continuation of the technique I think I discussed last time. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the last time I talked about the identity thing, the I am this and I am not this. Right.
Yeah,
so I've been on a big quantum linguistics Cartesian coordinates kick. I mean, I am most of the time because I think about it a lot. So I'm actually going to mix my quote and my anecdote because they're connected. So I'm going to read the quote first. This is from, what's that say? Steven Levine. I don't know who it is, but this was my favorite quote on the subject of non-attachment. Peter Levine is the trauma guy.
Yeah,
I don't know who Steven Levine is.
Yeah, that seems familiar.
Okay. Yeah. Non-attachment is not the elimination of desire. It is the spaciousness to allow any quality of mind, any thought or feeling to arise without closing around it, without eliminating the pure witness of being. It is an active receptivity to life. So this is one of those concepts, non-attachment, like compassion, like a lot of these other philosophical, spiritual states that are talked about as being very important. But one of the things that NLP, I think, does really well is it comes in and says, okay, how do you do that? Like, what is it really? How does one do non-attachment? How does one do forgiveness is a good example of another one of those words that's really important. Gratitude too, although I think more people are learning that gratitude is like just shift your brain by thinking of 3 things you're grateful for. You're doing it. You did it. And you're exercising that muscle. So non-attachment, I've been working myself and with my clients on this one. And the way that I started experimenting with this with people is when you have 2 possibilities that you're considering. So I had a client who said, I'm super scared that I might have prostate cancer. And he said, I probably don't. I've already been checked for it and I don't. But my dad at one point said, you're going to get it. We all get it. It runs in the family. I had it. You're going to get it. Yeah, exactly. So he's just like, I have this expectation that at some point it's going to happen. And he's like, I keep getting this, like any twinge in my pelvic floor. And I'm like, oh my God, there it is. I got to go. And so he's like, I'm torn back and forth between, I don't want to be focusing on this because I don't want to be attracting it into my life. He's big into law of attraction thinking and stuff. So I use that metaphor with him a lot. So one thing he said was, he was like, and then there's this other voice that sometimes comes in that's like, man, what if that happened? And then I just got everything in my diet and exercise and all this stuff cleared up. I mean, who knows? Maybe it would be a good thing then. And at that point I was like, but he's like, but I don't want to let myself think that because I don't want to be inviting it in. And I was like, well, stop, time out. There's where you're fucked. Because if you have an outcome that is possible and you are like, that one is not okay, that one I would not be okay with, then you are attached to it. That is what actually magnetically draws it to you. You're pushing it away. You're afraid of it. So I went through cancer and I went through the experience of getting past okay with it. There was a point when I was like, all right, I'm sure I'm going to be okay. But then there was a point where I focused intentionally on sucking as much value out of the experience as possible, where I became grateful that it happened. Now, again, I'm not saying that if I could go back and choose to not have it, that I'd necessarily choose to have it. That's a hypothetical that's impossible. You can't do that. So it's like, this is what you've been dealt. You can either decide to get grateful for it, or you can be, well, that was a horrible thing that happened to me. So I said to him, what if you did get okay? What does that mean? What if you get to the place where you know that you would be more than okay, even if you got prostate cancer? And then you go, oh, like, really, not like, okay, I guess I would grow from it, but like, you'd be like, no, like, I can imagine a scenario, tell myself a story about that possible future where I'm like, oh yeah, actually, wow, I don't know, maybe that would be even better than not having it. When you can create that story, now you can actually have non-attachment, because then you're like, you know what? Like, I can congruently say, if I lost both my legs in an accident, I know that I would be fine, and I would find ways to make the most of it. I'm sure my brain immediately starts going to how I would leverage it and like all kinds of things, how fucking ripped my upper body would get. Like, I'll give you a very specific and blunt example. I went through this exercise with it. What if I lost my dick? And this was specifically relevant to him because his thing about prostate cancer was, he was like, what if my dick doesn't work if I get it? Which is a real thing. So I was like, all right, because I'll tell you, there was a significant portion of my life where I thought if I did lose it, I'd be like, well, suicide starts looking like a real good option. Like, is life worth living if you can't do that? And like, judge me if you will, but that's truly where my brain goes. So then for this one, I actually had to plan it out. I had to be like, okay, if it happened, what would I focus on? What would I train myself to do differently such that I would be like, yep, I could be okay with that too. Like, really genuinely okay. And then it's like, instead of being like, there's one outcome that I want, like not cancer, and then there's one outcome that I don't want, which is cancer, you get to the point where you're like, well, you know, honestly, I could kind of go either way, but 51% over here to the let's not have cancer. And then that's the place where you're not pushing things away and then drawing them into you. And I guess my point in sharing this is I've actually been walking people through this process. When you have a thing you're deeply scared of, you're like, I want this, but I'm afraid of this. Figure out how to get okay with both of them.
Yeah, but they don't want this. They want not that. They want not. They want not.
Yeah, they might not even know what
they want. They want not that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want this. They want not this.
And I said, that's why I said not cancer as the outcome. Right. So you do at some point have to flip that and go, well, what is it that you want? Because not cancer is not a thing. You can't want not something.
But if you're thinking about cancer all the time, you're like, ooh, cancer.
Exactly.
Don't be fat. Don't be fat. Don't be fat. Don't eat ice cream. 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 Ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, part of the lesson there was that thing he said about like, I don't want to allow myself to imagine being okay getting cancer because I'm afraid of my thoughts.
Right. Yeah. I'm afraid of my thoughts. That's the thing. It's like, especially people who are into the law of attraction and are afraid of their thoughts.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
I did not walk around thinking cancer. I fucking promise you I didn't. So I still got it. So not like going like, oh, if I never think the word cancer, I'm never going to get it. Right. No, I'm sorry. That's not how it works.
Girl who just died of leukemia, that it was her thoughts. Right. She had bad thoughts. It's like, sorry, dude. I get it. We clean up your mind and all that stuff, but in a law of attraction, okay, focus on what you want. But
but my point is
where attention flows, energy goes.
Yeah. Right? The higher level understanding about the law of attraction to me is this one of the ways to get there, at least, is this practice of both. And you can even flip it. You can go, what are the negatives of the thing that I think I want? because like open your eyes to like people want to be famous, right? One of the things that has helped me a lot is listening to people who I think are like reasonably mature talk about what a fucking hassle fame is. And it really got me to this place where I'm like, I wrote something recently. Can I read this? Here, give me 1 second. I said, where is it? I said, this cracked me up. I said, one of my goals in life might be to reach the level of notoriety that would cause people to go back through everything I've ever said online, looking for something that would get me canceled, and then for them to find nothing.
Yeah, well, it's too late for that. I think Bill Murray said this to somebody who was like, hey, Bill, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, man, hey, yeah, Bill, I want to be like you. I want to be rich and famous. And Bill Murray said, try being just rich first.
Yeah, exactly. So there's tearing down some of those things. Again, it's to let go of your attachment to it. In relationship, if you need a person, you're going to have a horrible time attracting a person. You got to get to the place where those needs are, you're like, I'm good. I know I'm good. I'm good. And yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah. I hear all that. The non-attachment equaling like a kind of receptivity. I liked. Like non-attachment equals receptivity. Like I say to, and I said recently in the thing to a client, you have to embrace to release. It's kind of they're inversions of the same thing. Like you have to embrace something to let it go, and if you want to accept something, you have to not be attached to it. You have to if you want to receive something, you have to not be attached to it. If you want to let something go, you have to embrace it.
Yeah, it's like that active receptivity paradox to me is really that non-attachment. The way it actually works is it's yin and yang. It's not just surrender. A lot of people are afraid that it means like let go of everything and just be fine being, in sackcloth and ashes eating garbage. No, that's not what non-attachment is. It's yin and yang. It's just that most people are missing the yin part. Right. So that's why the focus is on surrender more, let go more.
What is anxiety? Fucking attachment.
Yes.
Way too much attachment to shit that's not even there.
Yeah.
Attachment to like needs to be this way, must this, that, or that, and if it's not, or all the other ways. And I'm attached not only to what I need, I'm really attached to all the thousands of ways I can think that it's not going to go right. I'm really fucking, So one of the best ways to get rid of anxiety is like the number one thing is it's like, if you really want to cut to the chase, it's like, well, you're gonna die. Like you can't control anything. What are you gonna do? And a lot of times people who have anxiety aren't afraid to fly. They're like, they can fly, no problem. Right? But if you ask somebody, how are you doing that? They're like, what? How are you flying? I don't know, I just get on a plane. But I mean, there's a lot of people who are scared shitless of flying because but how are you doing? They're like, I don't like, you're already doing it. At some point you step on a plane, you have to just go, I'm not in control. I'm not flying this thing. Anything can happen. And if you can help somebody see that, like, you do know how to do the thing that you can do more in your life, how can you fly a plane in your meeting today? How can you fly a plane, as you look towards tomorrow? How can you let go, but still go for the ride?
It makes me think of that. Everyone's an atheist in regards to other religions' gods,
right? And
the idea of like, you don't have this particular anxiety, but you have an anxiety around something else that other people don't have anxiety around that. But
how are you doing that?
This, and I'm most curious about how are you doing the anxiety around how do you get yourself freaked out about this? Oh, well, I make a picture of it going horribly and I play that movie on repeat. And
hey, you know what? That's how you can be afraid of flying. You should try that too.
Exactly. I've seen that technique where you're like, I'm going to install I'm going to make you afraid of something you're not afraid of in order to show you that you're doing this to yourself.
Yeah.
That's a fun way to do it.
Cool. I think I should have said something earlier. I think your mic's kind of hot. I don't know if
Oh
maybe
shit,
my
man.
speaker is whatever. But
I've been yelling too.
Well, I know, but if you're yelling,
No,
at it,
you're right.
normal,
You're right. It was maxed out.
fuck.
Yeah, I'll try to remember to check next time, but
Okay.
that should be better.
Cool. So my thing.
Oh, it looks like Crimson is watching us. Hello, Crimson. Good to see you.
So simple, easy peas, nice little quote. Robert Anton Wilson book I picked up recently, one of his last books.
I was gonna say, if it has the word email in it, this must
Email
be
to the Universe. It's just sort of short articles about things that he did in his life and little things didn't quite make it into books and insights and stuff around his life. But the first quote in the author's note simply says, "This book intends to change your way of perceiving / conceiving the world without drugs or drums or voodoo, simply by using words in certain special ways." And to me, that's like the definition of hypnosis.
Yes.
Or NLP. I intend to change your way of perceiving / conceiving the world without drugs or drums or voodoo, simply by using words in special ways. And like whether it's the Cartesian quantum linguistics or what Overdurf does his Beyond Words, or Igor's Mind-Bending Language, which I'm currently in a course of that.
The
It's
Milton
like,
model, even.
Yeah, it's just the power of words, of just a simple word, even though I've said it, like even just like yet, or the difference between and but, or asking someone like, what are all the things that you aren't being now that are everywhere you used to be then, or like whatever. You're like, what? How's that? Just getting someone to sort of shake up, because the prison's built of words. The cage is built out of words, and words that are symbols for emotions. And the only way to get to the emotions is to get to the words. So how to begin to fuck with words, man, to help somebody change their life is the best. And he says, I'm gonna do it without without drugs. We talk about that all the time. Without the drums, which is just a way to get into trance, or the voodoo, which is a way of dealing with someone's belief system. We're gonna do all of that just by using words. And that's just such a great description of what all of we do is. Started sharing.
It was truly my love of language and words that caused me to decide NLP and hypnosis was the direction that I wanted to go. It was there's lots of cool, like therapy was not the initial draw. The idea of helping other people became appealing. The thing that really inspired me was watching people use language like a juggler juggles, or a magician manipulates your mind, and I would they'd explain what they were going to do, and then they would do it, and I would just hear the language and go, I'm like catching a glimpse of the structure of thought in those moments. And the Milton model in particular, even the meta model, just those two at the very beginning of going, wait a minute. So when you hear, oh, okay, yeah, they are constructing a cause and effect. Right. And so if I ask this, I can deconstruct that. Right.
And that's what I had to do with this client. Yeah, it's like with most clients is you go, well, my wife drags me back in. I was like, hang on, let's just look at this. Yeah. Who's in control of your life? It was like, is it, well, me, I'm like, well, but not according to you. You say according to you, and then you just, however many ways you can ask a question. I love to ask a question with the most presuppositions that that wasn't really a question at all, was it? Yeah. It was just a place for you to deeply consider this. And that's where, whether it's the quantum linguistics or language or Beyond Words, where just consider this, or the thing you do with the people with the consider having cancer and being okay with it. Like just getting someone outside of their little whirlwind of whatever. Like this dude that I was talking about, he's been in that rut for so long. He's proud of it. It's who he is. It's like he doesn't know how to not be it. And as soon as you give him a little whoop, it's like, whoa, there's so much momentum and energy there waiting to go somewhere else. You just got to let it go out. You got to, you know, embrace to release. You got to not be attached to receive what you actually want.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's words, man. It's all about words.
The mind is the prison and also the key.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things I love about where I see therapy and coaching evolving to, because more and more people get this body mind paradox thing, that there is no separation between the two, that your language affects and influences and creates the problems in your body, and you can't think anything that you can't feel and embody. And so to me, like, I don't want to be one or the other. I like being able to hang out in the world of words because it's so much fun and it's so cool. And also having that knowledge of the transformation that really doesn't take place until it gets deeper than words. Yeah, that merging is like, now I feel like therapeutic healing techniques are starting to come into their own in a new way. These ideas are becoming more widely understood. There's less charlatans. There's more people, I think, who actually know.
I'm sure there's a lot of people
doing
bad work or lame work.
Of course.
Uncool work. But like, you know, words, all I did, and especially online. That's why when you do this work online, it's not like I've got, right, I'm doing the thing, or I'm touching you, and it's like, all I can do is use words to gather your attention, and point it in a direction, and ask you a question, and then talk about your feeling. How does it feel? And let's focus on this. But that, you know, and the only way I can do that is with my words, and the tone of my words and all that stuff. But it is.
But you don't actually need more. If you get skilled enough with the words, that's enough to make magic happen.
Yeah, and that's why the online thing, everybody's like, are you doing it online? Yeah, you can do that stuff online. Yeah, sure. Why not? There's no magical force coming out of your eyeballs. I remember, dude, when we were learning all this shit, when I was learning from you guys 8 years ago now, it was 2013. I remember, okay, cool, hypnosis, here we go. And then I was like, what? There's no like, there's nothing to it. It's just words. It's, you know, and I remember thinking, oh, so it's just like the power of bullshit, you know, in its way, like an undoing and redoing in my words, and you know, oh, because you can say a Milton model question, and if you just read it, it'd be like, that's bullshit, whatever that, like, that doesn't make any sense. But if it's framed in their way and it makes sense to them, and it has all the tumblers for their lock, that's the thing that undoes it, right? Or the, you know, sleight of mouth, or how to be a salesman and all that stuff. I mean, it's bullshit, like in a good and
no, I get you. And I think this is a good example of the overlap too, is because like where the body comes into this is there's words, but then there's state. Right. And like hypnosis is a state. It's a receptive state where when they're in that state, the words don't even matter that much. I mean,
keep them nice and simple and straight ahead, and like that's not the time for like jumping around and doing mind bending stuff necessarily. Once you,
but that's why there's no, you can't just hand somebody a note card and be like, this has magic words on it that if you read them, it's going to change everything. That the factor is if they believe that's true,
right? And
that's hypnosis.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is not my
cool, dude. Swish. Yes. All right, we're done.
Okay. Well, you can pause this or get rid of this. Get these people out of my house. And then
all right, everybody,
shoot the shit if you want.
We will catch you next week, probably. Yes. Have a good one and keep living NLP. Peace, love, and NLP. That's how we sign off.
Exactly.